Hey everyone, Jacob here from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga, our heated adventures over analyzing manga we find interesting, otherwise known as the Over Manga Cast. This week we read Kaiju No. 8 by Naoya Matsumoto, and we're joined by none other than the series' own English language letterer and co-host of podcast One Piece at a Time, Brandon Bovia. We read chapters 1 through 23, covering up to the Sagamihara Subjugation Operation arc. Thanks again, Brandon, for all of your great insight. We all had a lot of fun with this episode, so watch out for Yoju, don't forget your nose plugs, and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, my name is Sam and welcome back once again to the Over Manga Cast. That time we woke up in a podcast and had to explain manga. And we are joined today not by Matt. You will be missing him. He had to be called away. He didn't give us any explanation why, but some men in black suits showed up and he said he had to make preparations and then just kind of dipped. So hopefully everything's okay there. But we were able to get a special guest here for this Kaiju No. 8 episode. It is Eisner-nominated letterer of Kaiju No. 8, Brandon Bovia, also the freelance letterer for Dragon Ball Super, the Hunters Guild Red Hood, Aliens Arena, and several others, as well as the co-host of One Piece at a Time. Brandon, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I feel like you really kind of got the rundown there. I did want to make a correction. My new series in Shonen Jump is called Aliens Area, not Arena.
Area. Well, editing Sam in the future will correct that, I'm sure.
But it is, I mean, it literally just came out like a few hours ago, so I don't blame anybody for not,
Excellent.
There's still time to get it in bed.
Yeah, I did notice a new series. It turns out the letterer for it is on the podcast with us. That's pretty cool.
That is exactly how cutting edge we are.
They literally can't get rid of me at Shonen Jump. Like every time something ends, it's just like I find myself crawling back in. Like, oh, okay.
All right. So here at the top of the show, we like to talk about our familiarity with the franchise that we read this week. Brandon, let's start with you. I suppose you are quite familiar with Kaiju No. 8, being the letterer for it.
Never heard of it. I have no idea what I'm doing here. But no, yeah, I am indeed the English letterer for Kaiju No. 8. I have been for the whole run, which is important. I think I don't know about important maybe, but like. Things can, like I've definitely come on projects before, like with Dragon Ball. I'm like the third letterer for Dragon Ball, so it maybe feels, even though it's like, man, that's Dragon Ball. I haven't been working on it the whole time, and I certainly haven't been working on it. That started. Dragon Ball Z was being published in English when I was a kid, so there's no way I would really feel any sort of like extended ownership. Not that I feel really, ownership is a weird way to call it, but basically, yeah, I've been the English letterer for Kaiju No. 8 for the whole time, and I think that's special. This is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and you did a great job with it. We will get into that as we dive into the review. For me, Kaiju No. 8 was something that I kept seeing advertised in the Shonen Jump app and being like, that looks really cool. That looks like it's up my alley. I'll get to it eventually. And now we're here, so
I've been there. Trust me.
Oh yeah. Jacob, how about you?
Pretty similar, actually. When I got the Shonen Jump app, this is something that I saw, and there's a lot of stuff that on the Shonen Jump app that interests me. And when it was suggested to put on the reading list for our podcast, I was quite happy to see it. Not really any prior knowledge of it, though.
Mm-hmm. And Jay.
Sure. So similarly, I am familiar with several Shonen Jump properties. This came up as a recommendation. I want to preface this as I am a huge fan of kaiju in all capacities. However, I hadn't had the opportunity to check this series out, so this was a fresh take for me as well.
I didn't realize everybody was coming in fresh. That's actually really exciting.
It should be noted that friend of the pod, Jump Cody, was very flattering of this particular manga when he mentioned it during a previous recording session. So it did come recommended by him, but that is not the extent of all we know. So we start with about what you'd expect from a kaiju-based manga. It is a giant monster, dead and crushing several city blocks under its tremendous bulk.
I think that's a good way to introduce the sort of the scale of the encounters that end up happening in the story.
Oh yeah.
And it just looks cool to boot.
It does. It really does. And the very first panel is this monster looming, very much not dead yet. And then next one, it's down. So we missed whatever epic battle defeated this thing and skipped straight to the cleanup afterwards.
Yay!
Yeah, I kind of like that sense because it really goes to illustrate in a really fast, really succinct way that this is something that's been ongoing for a long time now. And whilst a kaiju is still a serious threat that people need to be concerned about, it's also kind of seeped into just how life is now, which does a really good job of like putting you in the headspace of the characters in that world.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I mean they jump straight to introducing the fact that there's like a whole cleanup crew after these kaiju battles, so it really feels like it's just kind of a part of daily life. It can be like a career for someone.
Yeah,
it's no different than being a rescue worker during like a flood or an earthquake or something like that. You're here to clean up the mess that's left behind after all the other things happen. And
kind
that's
of really highlighting the underdog, the little man who has to, not necessarily be front and center of the action, at least initially.
Yep, and that little man is our protagonist, Kafka Hibino, age 32. I think this might be the first middle age or middle age approaching shonen protag.
I think he is one of the older protagonists because maybe some of them are like maybe mid-20s at latest.
Yeah,
it's sort of the joke of Sakamoto days, which is where Cody referenced Kaiju number 8, was that like part of the joke is that he's middle age adjacent, but also that's really more played for a laugh, and he'll turn into a younger guy. He'll transform into his skinny form, whereas Kafka's age is very much front and center.
Yeah, yeah. I think it is a key part of his like character.
Yeah, because he is the latest in kind of this new paradigm of shonen protagonist. It's like with the old ones, like Dragon Ball, One Piece, etc. The protagonist was uncommonly powerful, still found people who are like uncommonly powerful +1 to go and fight against for tension's sake, but we never really doubted the capacity of our hero. And now, more recently, with stuff like Hiroaka, Black Clover, and now this, it's protagonist is a weak noodle arms baby man and suddenly gains all the power in the universe and does not know what to do with it. Someone please send help.
He doesn't quite have that that power boost just yet. And I sort of love how they interplay that for the story to happen, you kind of have to have your protagonist be the main character for some reason. That's that classic issue with, things like protagonist privilege when it's unintended and whatnot. But they end up playing with that in a pretty clever way. We also get introduced to another character, Reno Ichikawa, who's basically the protagonist of another manga.
He is Kafka's new partner in the kaiju cleanup unit, and he is a young hot blood anime protag man.
Yes, it's almost as if you had an intermediate stage where there was like a compulsory like mentorship stage before you actually committed to being an anime protagonist. This would be it.
We're seeing all of the behind the scenes stuff, not just the cleanup of kaijus, but also the mentoring program in the manga metaverse.
We would actually be remiss to neglect mentioning one more. There's a brief flashback Kafka has watching the news broadcast of the actual defeat of the kaiju that he's cleaning up, which was done by one Mina Ashiro, Defense Force 3rd Division captain, and judging from the flashbacks, his childhood friend.
Yeah. I think that's part of the thing that really makes Kaiju number 8 unique as a shonen action manga, is that it is like it is sort of bringing the follow your dreams kind of formula to sort of like a, well, you know, like in a typical shonen manga, it's like the main character's like a teenager, and you know, they have all of this life ahead of them, and it's like, go follow your dreams, go be the best. And that's where Kafka's age comes in as the protagonist. Is he's 32, and he's, for all intents and purposes, he thinks he's missed his chance. And so when he sees sort of like Mina getting all the glory, you know, he's just like, dang, I wish that was me, you know.
It was supposed to be him, the two of them working together.
Yeah, that was the
that's the dream.
Another flashback later that mentions that their whole thing was that they promised to rise up to defeat all the kaiju together, shoulder to shoulder. And like, you know, I mean, like to a large extent, you know, following a character with all of the potential, like obviously, you know, it's been done because it's a formula that works, but also it's nice to see a little bit of a difference here because, you know, I mean, people gain, you know, new skills and, you know, take, you know, another shot at passions, you know, when they are no longer teenagers and are able to do some pretty nice things. So having a series that will actually like directly address that sort of thing, it's a nice change of pace, especially for something like Shonen Jump is sort of like the cornerstone of a lot of classic anime and manga, and seeing such an experimental protagonist in Shonen Jump is pretty darn cool.
Because hey, so long as you're still alive, you can still live. Which is what Reno expresses to Kafka the next day after work, saying it's like, look, I saw how tore up you were when you mentioned that you gave up on this dream. The maximum age for new recruits is 33 now. So, hey, why don't you go stop being so much of a loser and try again?
Yeah, Reno really calls him out here at first. I forgot how like kind of tenuous the relationship is here at the beginnings. They develop a bromance very quickly, but here at their introduction, you know, Reno's like, you know, like go follow your dreams. You kind of, you know, you missed your chance, old man. Don't do it again.
And particularly from Reno's perspective, there's a very antagonistic bent to their relationship. And I mean, like, you know, it gets played for comedy later, but it's always there to some extent. But also, again, I sort of find the amusing element of it is he is so the protagonist of another manga, because that's the exact kind of character development you would expect a series that has the sort of plot trajectory of Kaiju number 8 to follow. But instead, you know, we're following another character who maybe needs the character journey a little bit more.
Unfortunately, that dream is almost snuffed short as a kaiju erupts from the body of the one they were already working on and damn near chomps Reno in two. Thankfully, Kafka was ready to jump in and tackle him off to safety and set him to running to get more help, while our brave protag stands up to this monster. And wow, the juxtaposition of that panel.
It's got a little pole.
He's got a little crowbar.
I love that little. Yeah, I'm completely screwed.
He's very rarely off in his assessment of. I am not prepared for this, which is fun when you see those.
It is. But he is trying his best just to stay alive and distract this thing, which goes, well, he's still alive. One of his legs is currently very horrifically flattened in a giant handprint, but...
Yeah.
He succeeded in the important thing to him, which was to get Reno out alive. We get a bit of a pattern with these two where Reno, and not just these two, but a lot of the characters do this. And I kind of love it when characters and stories in general do this, but like it seems to be everybody in this manga has this bent where it's like, you know, the two of us can't possibly stop this stop this enemy. I'll distract it while you go and get help. And then the person goes and gets help and then immediately comes back to help stall. Like, you don't see that enough.
Right. It's like, you're just going to think you're going to leave your friend behind, or
They don't do the stupid thing of sticking around and fighting to the death anyway, pointlessly. They also, there's also not a convenient cavalry because the person who's closer obviously gets there first.
Help does indeed arrive as the two of them are making their brave stand. As the monster is blown to little itty-bitty bits, the Japan Defense Force 3rd Division has arrived.
I don't know if anyone's reading the print version in this, but the sound effects on that, the blam blam on that spread were really fun to do.
Oh yeah, I'm taking a look at I'm taking a look at it right now, and that looks awesome. I
really appreciated kind of like the more westernized aspect of some of the onomatopoeia. It was just really nostalgic for me, and it was just kind of came out of like left field a little bit, because I'm just like, for me, with manga, I kind of have to switch contexts here, and I was just like, this is actually really, really fun. So thank you.
Yeah, that's something I pride myself on, you know.
Yeah,
I really like making sound effects for manga.
I really like the sort of harsh font that you use in the bolded lettering when someone is just screaming their lungs out, like Kafka screaming "damn it" at the monster right before it's blown up.
That one was also, God, that was because like all of the stuff that's in word balloons we still have to replace for like the weekly releases. So that one was like carried over from the weekly release, and we had to do those, like we premiered with like the first 5 chapters, I remember, and those had to get done like extremely fast. So I was like, wow, just, you know, despite the fact that I was on a crazy deadline for that first chapter, like that was a really fun piece of lettering that still held up. I could have replaced it if I wanted to for the volumes, but I was like, it's surprisingly good.
Yeah, it works well.
It's important to put a good foot forward, especially in the first chapter in particular. But like early on, it's important, and especially when you consider the fact that it's not until the very, very end of the first chapter that we even get our base premise of the story itself.
Yeah, that's sort of the big hook.
And this is sort of the thing that I kind of like about it, because as much as this is absolutely there's a lot of like standard shonen elements to Kaiju number 8. And, you know, you've got the protagonist with, you know, an absurd massive power boost that, you know, he can one-shot most regular mooks. But like at the same time, one of the big things that Kaiju number 8 really emphasizes is not just Kafka and the other characters, how Kafka feels that he wants to be able to do this on his own merits. He's absolutely willing to use the protagonist powers to save people, but he also wants to do things on his own merits. And the first chapter really does a good job of establishing who he is, what he cares about, and why he cares about it. And, you know, I mean, like it's very much the case where you can see why he chooses to, you know, either use his powers or not in specific situations.
Yeah. So he's definitely very like, for a character, we'll get into it later, I'm sure, but like he doesn't do a very good job of hiding his powers, which is kind of part of the gag at the start.
Yeah.
He's just a run-of-the-mill Joe with a dream, and that's very relatable.
Yeah, it just happens to have a skull for a face.
A dragonfly monster thing crawls into his mouth, and he gets one of the coolest character designs I've seen in a long time.
I mean, I understand in context everyone's terrified of him, but I just couldn't help but say, that looks pretty badass, if I do say so myself.
I mean, I'd freak out if I saw that in a hospital.
Yeah.
Well, like Kafka, I'd freak out if I saw that in a mirror. His kaiju form is incredibly cool and just like so photogenic, so easy to put on covers and things like that, and put in big splash pages. But they also do a good job of doing great comedy faces with him too. Like his body language and some of the like you know, anime exaggeration faces that they'll throw in is just so hilarious.
It reminds me a lot of like Alphonse Elric in Fullmetal Alchemist.
Oh,
Sort
yes.
of
Perfect.
I wouldn't have made that connection immediately, but now that you say it, yeah, they do have the same energy, don't they?
Yeah.
I love monster form Kafka so much.
Yeah.
He is a treasure.
Well, because oh my god, it's like wall to wall gags once they escape from the hospital, and he's like trying to he's like trying to run away and get a handle on his powers at the same time, and he's just all of the gags dealing with like his body having a mind of its own. It's just great.
It's like, I have no idea how this thing works.
Hold on, let me open this window. Tears out an entire wall.
Yeah, like okay.
Oops.
I have to use the bathroom. Wait a minute. Hold on. It's coming out of my pecs. Oh God.
Yeah. Legendary panel.
Absolutely. I just gotta say, I reached the end of chapter 1 and I'm like, the guy named Kafka turned into a monster.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Very subtle.
Okay.
Very subtle.
Yep, very subtle. Very subtle indeed. At the very least, turning into a monster allowed him to do his job, unlike the original metamorphosis, but either way, we have the entire comedy of errors of them desperately attempting to escape as he is trying to control the kaiju body. And there is more giant monsters about, unfortunately. Another one of those weird, basically the same type that had attacked them earlier in the day, threatening a young girl and her mother. Mother is trapped, young girl is frantic. So, what's a pro tag with a sudden new intense power to do except punch the thing into oblivion?
Yeah, there's also a brief bit where he like senses its presence before it shows up.
I don't remember if that ever comes up again.
I don't think in our reading it did, but I guess you would know further than we would for obvious reasons.
There are some things I haven't commented about because I'm like, does that come up again? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
But yeah, we sort of get a bit of a fun One Punch Man moment where you get an entire page of just the
dedicated to the left hook. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, just even as early as chapter 2, you really start to get the sense that the action is just on another level in this manga.
Oh yeah, I love the dynamism in these panels. Like it's amazing how much motion is being put into just a still image of a monster punching another monster, but you really feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that punch was not enough to put the thing down, so he goes to give it one with all he's got. Hits it with an uppercut that disintegrates the thing into into blood, and in a glorious, absolutely gorgeous colored 2-page spread, it's him standing there in the blood rain.
Yeah, that's something I think I wish more manga did more often, and Kaiju number 8 can get away with it because it's serialized digitally. So there are a ton of these where like it'll just you flip the page and it's a color spread and you're just like, whoa, okay. And it's sort of a shame that we can't maintain all of these for the print version. They're grayscaled in the Japanese book as well. So that's not something that we specifically are doing, but I think it would be cool to have if we could have all of the color pages maintained. I think that'd be awesome. But
yeah, the printing costs would be too high. But like there's just a demonstrable difference between you see black and white manga blood, you turn the page, and like it really sells the moment.
The gore of the moment. And Renault's just standing there, like jaw on the floor, like, yeah, you should definitely not use that on a human.
Yeah, that scene is going to look amazing if they ever make an anime of this.
Oh, I desperately hope this gets an anime because it would look so cool.
Oh, absolutely, and I hope the OP is amazing.
Yeah, get I can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. Jam Project, the ones.
Jam Project.
Jam Project.
Get Jam Project for this.
Okay, I am glad. I am so glad you mentioned Jam Project because a little bit later I'm going to make a really bizarre comparison, and Jam Project did OPs for that series too. So I want
wait.
Jam Project so bad. But as of right now, we get I think one of the things that makes that whammy panel, the color panel, work so well is that there's like when you see the blood in black and white, it has a bit of a gruesome bent to it, but like the blood rain in color, it's almost melancholic. Because like the comment of it's something I definitely shouldn't use on a human. There's this like separation that it creates between Kafka and everyone else. The next page after that, Kafka sees like the people that he saved, and the little girl that he saved is understandably completely terrified of him.
Yep.
But
he tries the smile thing again.
it doesn't work. But the little girl still manages to thank him for saving her and her mother, and it sort of grounds him in this like, I can move forward with this. It's a really strong moment.
Yep, and we have the a rather important final panel of the chapter. It's Kafka once again resolving to stand by Mina's side against all the kaiju. And it's like, well, how can he do that if he's one of them now? But it shows the kaiju form disintegrating away to reveal his human face. So we've got an epic transformation that needs to be worked around.
I love that sort of thing.
Me too. And then we cut to several months later after the Kaiju number 8 incident and title drop.
We learn that if a kaiju is not dealt with promptly, it gets a numbered designation.
Mm-hmm.
And since no one destroyed the protagonist,
right,
he gets a number. We get a bit of a brief scene of Kafka being hilariously bad at being able to control his transformation.
What are you doing exposing yourself in broad daylight like this? Wait, my face is messed up? Oh, crap, it's messed up. Hold on. Is this better? He's still got the, unhinged jaw and demon teeth.
All it has taken is this amount of time, and Reno has kind of gone from, slightly antagonistic Kohai to just, your best bro who's trying to, you can't go out like that.
I love him so much.
Dare I say it? It kind of just... I'll say this later, but I'm just seeing a lot of parallels between, what is it? One Piece, or not One Piece, One Punch and Genos and that kind of energy. I really appreciate
Genos and Saitama.
Saitama,
for sure.
It's such a different dynamic too, because there is that element of Kafka is a bit of an expert on things that Reno doesn't understand, but Reno also, he has types of maturity and knowledge base that Kafka is lacking as well. So especially when you consider the fact that this it's funny, but it's not a gag series. There's a lot more learning from each other, really even relationship to the two of them, far more than One Punch Man, but with that same sort of...
Because that's just a strict gag relationship of Genos is like, yes, master, I will learn everything from you. And it's like, maybe you shouldn't. Saitama's kind of a dumbass.
whereas we're seeing that sort of relationship played straight here, where the two of them really, really do kind of need each other to be more complete people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's that goes for a lot of the character relationships in this manga in general. It feels like big casts are always something that long-running shonen can struggle with. But definitely like Kaiju number 8 feels like every character kind of has the role to play, and no one singular character can really carry it, because they all have their expertise, they all have their role to play.
Indeed. And we get introduced to the character whose role to play is this big. As we meet Kikuru Shinomiya.
What is it with Shinomiyas?
Shinomiyas and being prissy rich girls in manga. I don't know.
Yes, there's a running theme here.
I think so. But they're going to the exam day to become members of the defense force, and she is badgering him to move his car so that she can park hers, despite many other spaces being open.
But 5 is her lucky number. You don't understand.
Yeah, so she has to park in space 55.
Yeah, double
What
lucky.
an introduction.
Well, I mean,
I
this
feel
is
like with some characters, you instantly know what they're all about just off of
Yeah.
one interaction.
and I mean, like, this is another case where it's like, hello, protagonist of another manga. Sort of
Yes.
that element that you mentioned of like a lot of the characters, like they all have their role to play. They all have that slot to fill in. In a lot of ways, each one of these could carry a different series on their own, but because Kaiju 8 like fits them together in such an interesting way, they all kind of need each other, because like there's obviously like the elements of like growing stronger and whatnot that is so central to shonen stories, but there's also the like being a more complete person, a more mature person, and like I mean they're for as much as Shinomiya is the rich girl punchline, like she does have a lot of really admirable qualities that the other characters kind of need to learn from.
Yeah.
Mhm. I get the feeling a big theme of this throughout the totality of it is no matter how old you are, you can still grow. So, and that includes
Easily.
as a person in Kafka's case, as Shinomiya decides that if he's not going to move the car, she will move it herself because she has one of the Defense Force Kaiju super suits and uses that to just yeet his company car off to the side. So
it's very, very, very blue collar practical. I just love that. Not the company car.
Come on, that's not mine. I have to pay for.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get in so much trouble with the job if that's damaged. During the very next chapter, Kafka goes and hefts it back onto its wheels as it landed on its side, to the shock of everybody.
he at least has enough control of the transformation to sort of hide it from the back.
Yeah, just have the super strength and not the visual changes.
Yep.
Understandably, Renault is displeased.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is where Shinomiya learns his name, Kafka Hibino. Don't you forget it, Lil Missy. To which I can only imagine she goes, "Oh, I won't. I will make sure to drag this name through the mud for the rest of your living days."
Oh, and she does.
I hate this girl, and yet she's a very fun character.
We then proceed on to the fitness trials, joining the Kaiju Defense Force, and the big thing for Kafka is, like, strictly speaking, he can hide like the Kaiju form and do superhuman things like he did with the car. But he doesn't even like try to hide it. He very specifically wants to get into the Kaiju Defense Force on his own merits. His Kaiju form, there's almost a bit of like distance he puts between it, like it's another like it's another person.
Yeah. Though I do love the cool moment he has of everyone works so hard to get here. It wouldn't be fair of me to use that power to my advantage. Very next panel. Oh, who am I kidding? I just wanted to sound cool. I should have used it.
Yeah.
He's very relatable.
Yeah. He's he feels like he wants to be the protagonist. He wants to try and sound cool, but and I feel like that is something that crops up a lot in this manga, is that like characters can very rarely get to be cool without having something goofy happen right after.
Yeah.
Something to just keep them humble. Particular exam classes full of the best and brightest in the next generation of kaiju destroyers. So, of course, our poor old man is definitely out of his league before he even showed up.
Yeah, bad luck of the draw. You got to be in the class with all the main characters.
It really is like that, where
it really makes you wonder if he'd actually, committed to trying in previous years, if perhaps he would have had a better luck of the draw. I mean, we obviously know how it turns out, but I'm just saying, by being a procrastinator, you've kind of set it up against yourself, where now there's a greater call of urgency. They've raised the age limit. They're really needing all hands on deck, so they send out the best of the best.
He said it himself. It's all downhill in your 30s.
Oh God,
I'm crying.
me too. Some of these pro tags, it's like top of his class at Tokyo Neutralization University, which again feels like its own manga. We have Blonde Shark Mohawk Man. We got friggin' Lieutenant Surge, and then we got Shinomiya, who is the heir of basically the weapons manufacturer that creates all the anti-kaiju tech. It's like, oh, she's just got access to all of her family's technology.
War Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's War Machine. She's got access to all her family's tech. No wonder she's so powerful. Surely that's it, right? No, she's also actually just really competent.
Yes. She's able to channel her inner madness and inner father issues to further bolster her strength.
Oh God, we will get to that.
They move on from the fitness test to what is going to be the next phase of the selection exam. And in other years, the test had been dismantling kaiju, knowing how they're built is a good, being able to bring them down. But as it turns out, funny that this year they decide for a little bit more of a hands-on approach. They've captured live kaiju and have let them loose in a city, Hiroaka style, except with kaiju.
I was gonna say, this is the most Hiroaka this manga has gotten to my knowledge so far. It's like, okay, here are some bad guys. Go have fun, kids. They get the super cool anti-kaiju battle suits, which use the muscle fibers of defeated kaiju to draw out the latent power of the wearer on a percentage scale of 0 to 100. And the more that you are able to draw out of it, means the stronger that you are already. So Reno is able to draw out 8% power and already feels basically like a god in it. Meanwhile, Shinomiya is like, 46% power.
Of course, yep.
She wears this thing every day. And then
I was going to say she had this in advance.
Yeah. And then Kafka Hibino, unleashed combat power, 0%.
right before the plucky lieutenant character is explaining, don't worry, as long as it's not 0%, no one's ever had a 0% before, everyone will be fine. 0%.
Yep.
Why is this a foil to what Saitama experiences during his exams? Or a parallel? I got those kind of vibes, because didn't Saitama also have a very low performance?
Only in the written portion. He broke literally every record in the physical one.
But they couldn't understand why. There was no power output. It just was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Though I gotta say, I just throw out a random theory there. I wonder if the kaiju powers are somehow messing with the suit, and that's why it has 0%. Because the other thing,
kind of like a conflict.
Yeah, I mean, my immediate thought was maybe that there was an overflow error, that he was above 100% and the suit didn't know how to read that. That's not what happens. But that was sort of the immediate thought that I had. The suits are connected to their weapons, which are railguns, I guess, because the more power output your suit has, the harder the bullets hit.
Yeah, I'm glad Matt's not here for this episode, because well, if you've listened to our Fire Force episodes, you know how he feels about Lieutenant Hinawa's power. I dread to think what he would have to say about the suit make your bullet go faster.
Just don't think about it. Bullets just work.
I'm pretty sure they're rail guns, because there'll be electricity flaring off of the guns when someone fires a powerful shot. I think that's the justification, but it's cool regardless. So
it's cool. That's all it really needs to be.
Exactly. And it means if you're stronger, you can shoot bigger, and therefore
I feel like it's a very shonen manga way of being here's how much power you have,
Yeah, I mean, we've been comparing this to a lot of other classic series. There is sort of and this is something that I've noticed in shonen in the last decade or two, where a lot of shows are really looking back at what made the classics and perfecting and synthesizing them, and it's created a lot of really good series lately, and Kaiju number 8 is definitely looking back on not just the past but also its own contemporaries to look and say here's another way of looking at this, and it makes for a really interesting read, especially with how light and breezy it is, because it usually wears a lot of this stuff on its sleeve.
Yeah. Elimination portion of the exam is going great for all these protagonists of other stories. For our protagonists, it's not going so hot. Instead, Kafka actually has the pretty ingenious idea of, we're very familiar with kaiju anatomy thanks to our job. Let's just play support. Let's just hang back and tell them where the weak points are and direct our allies to be the most effective. And as somebody who enjoys playing support in video games, I appreciated that.
Shout out to playing support. Crucial.
In hindsight, it's a little funny because like later encounters, not in a very vague sense, they kind of have like a mission control. So it feels like maybe people playing support out in the field might have like limited use, but it's sort of fun. It's a fun way to get them to show off like their knowledge and how there are more ways than just punching harder.
Indeed.
Oh yeah. Sometimes someone in the field who's able to direct people is important.
Who's there on the ground, who knows what's going on. Unfortunately, Kafka immediately gets slapped.
Of course.
Yeah. He and Reno come up with a rather ingenious plan to deal with the situation. And they are able to help out, directing the other candidates towards hitting weak points. But unfortunately, the protagonists of other manga, particularly Shinomiya, is kind of cleaning things up a little bit too fast.
Yeah. We actually get one of my favorite character moments from Shinomiya after Kafka gets hit. He's like trying to stand back up because if Mission Control has to deploy your shield, that means you've effectively lost because they've come in here to save you and evac you. And just before that's about to happen, because the monster's about to, eat him, Shinomiya blows the thing's head off, and she says, "No casualties or dropouts allowed on a battlefield I set foot on." So she wants to be so perfect. She wants to 100% these encounters so hard that she is doing a no-death run of being a monster slayer.
Yeah. It's like even if you're going to be on my team, you're not going to die.
I think this is why I hate yet like her so much. She's a Fire Emblem player.
Oh my gosh, she is.
The fun thing about that is, and again, this is Kaiju number 8 wearing its metaphors on its sleeve and all. That is simultaneously such an arrogant and yet at the same time such a legitimately noble perspective to take. You can kind of see where she needs to grow.
She needs to be doing this for not selfish, self-aggrandizing reasons.
Yeah.
I think it's the first hint that there's something a little more with this character.
We get daddy issues, the character teased, and suddenly an extra kaiju that shouldn't be there appears, and we get the whammy panel of Shinomiya getting shot.
Yeah, that one was quite something.
When I was first when I was lettering these chapters weekly, the first thing I thought, I was like, Kikoru is such a Asuka Langley Soryu type character, even kind of down to the hairstyle of from Evangelion, or she's just kind of the most overconfident, cocky character who kind of ends up every time she talks smack and then just gets completely destroyed and humbled. So when this happened, I was like, okay, yep, there it is.
I've been waiting for the boot to kick her in the ass, and there it is.
Oh, that's life.
Yep. Thankfully, these suits have shielding on them that prevents her from just dying straight away, so that's good.
It wasn't a direct hit, it's a good to build drama.
Yeah.
At least good to ensure that's okay, so she's not going to die. Or those aren't fatal wounds, rather.
The suits will deflect impacts, bind wounds, and there's also a shield. So and basically that's justifying why the characters in the shonen manga have the unreasonably massive durability that shonen characters almost always have.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. She's not doing too well as this new random kaiju with the weird, like, the best way I can describe its head is it's like a 2-tiered mushroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mushroom head.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's so disgusting. And it is talking to the other kaiju as it is resurrecting them from the dead. Like, what a way to just make your antagonist the most threatening thing.
Yeah, the stakes just shoot sky high very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you throw necromancy into anything, it automatically just it instills some kind of like primal fear in you.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like not only are the resurrected kaiju just back from the dead, they're stronger. So everyone is flipping out like, what in the hell is happening down there? We need to get the actual like competent
the fully trained like professionals.
Yep.
We need to get them out there before all the rookies are annihilated. Unfortunately, for Shinomiya,
She's in the center of this. The double mushroom kaiju is pretty quickly established as a sadist, so he makes a point of shooting her in the legs. Given her character, she probably wouldn't have run away, but you know.
Yeah.
All the same.
And as she's being beaten on by the resurrected kaiju, we get a flashback of
Her childhood.
she looks mid-teens, but I think she's supposed to be late teens. We get a flashback to her childhood, and
She's at the top of her class.
we see the villain of another manga. I mean, her father.
Yeah, she's the top of her class. Everyone in her class is very impressed. She's very proud of herself. All the other kids get taken away by their parents, who are happy for the performance that their kids did in getting accepted. Meanwhile, she goes home, tells her father that she's top of the class, and he says, "So what? That's literally the minimum I expect from you. That's how it
Honor
should
students
be."
can relate.
Yeah, I will waste no time in you not being good enough.
That's a healthy mindset.
Yeah. Again, I feel like something Kaiju number 8 has always been really effective at is like we never dwell on any one character's backstory for too long. Like I don't even think like we get flashbacks. They very rarely last like more than a few pages, but they're so effective at telling you everything you need to know about like why this character is the way that they are. And I find it really effective for how little we actually get of it.
Yeah, no,
It's
very,
basically just 4 pages.
Yeah, and you're just sort of like, yeah, I get it.
It's very efficient. It's relying on the tropes that Shonen has built up over the decades that it's existed. I think that's the reason why Kaiju number 8 feels like such a breezy series to read. It's really easy to just go on to the next chapter and just like it's such a bingeable manga.
It moves very fast, but always feels satisfying.
Right before she has her tragic death. Who should appear but her favorite punching bag, Kafka Hibino, congratulating her on keeping the kaiju distracted long enough for everyone to get out. And then...
Is the he's her real dad metaphor loud enough for you, audience?
Is Kafka just everyone's dad?
I think Kafka's everyone's dad.
Honestly, I'd be about it.
Yeah.
An absolutely epic, like several panels of the end of one chapter and the beginning of the next, of Kafka just being so cool. Like
I definitely like the last minute save is something that this series does really, really well.
So well.
Yep.
There's another one in this volume.
He's charging up his power and he says, "Kick back and relax."
Yeah. The like the lightning charging is just, it's so like Godzilla-esque.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Though there is also the element of if someone has a cool moment, they have to be kept humble because Kafka has to beg,
Beg her not to
out him.
Yep.
And just like leveraging how incredibly awesome the kaiju design for Kafka's kaiju form is, and
he's got a mouth on his forearm that splits open to reveal a jet booster on his elbow to propel his fist forward as more like a tripod of more legs comes out of his back leg to anchor.
Yeah.
What?
I
You're
love how
thinking it.
like morphable that his kaiju form is. It's sort of like it can sort of take whatever form he needs in the moment. So
And I love the
Yeah.
fact that it's kind of like you don't even have to consciously think about it, because just you like breaking it down, it certainly sounds preposterous. But how much thought do you actually think in the moment it was given to this?
Oh yeah, it
Mhm.
comes off as so natural for him.
Like, I don't even think it was solely Kafka who thought about this, if we're going to be that far. Like, if
Yeah.
it's completely like survival mode from the kaiju, I guess, brain.
Yeah, reflexive. I mean, again, the sort of One Punch Man vibes of we get like several pages worth of just amazing sequential art of a single punch that vaporizes somebody.
oh god, it's so cool.
It's so cool. The like skin and muscle and tendons and everything is just stripped off the thing's arm as it's turned to bone, which crumbles, and then boom. Oh, it's so cool. And Kafka has to drop out of the monster form before the cavalry arrives. But hey, great victory. They got out of the exam without anybody dying. We
Yeah.
call this a W.
I definitely love the idea of like just kind of more and more characters being in on the secret as things go on, just due to
Yeah.
circumstances. Because like, well, okay, now Kikoru knows.
I'm sure later the rest of the squad will know, and it'll be an inordinate amount of time before Mina knows.
That'll
Yeah,
be a fun plot point for when it inevitably happens.
Oh boy.
They're once again in the hospital, obviously.
None of that was supposed to happen. Like, that was supposed to be a curated thing with none of the kaiju were supposed to be anywhere near that threatening. They have to like clean up the situation, and Mina actually goes to the hospital room where Kafka and Reno are,
And thanks them for their heroic efforts.
then turns on her heel and walks away.
Yeah. I love how like Mina is kind of a very distant kind of like entity at this point in the story, just because Kafka's basically like trying to catch up to her, so like sort of any interaction he's just like like no, I have to I'll wait until I become an officer, like he has to, or it has to be special.
That's sort of the thing I was going to point out, is that like Kafka like has more of a reaction. He's quicker to like want to reach out to her, but like you can see the friendship that they still have between the two of them, because like Kafka will stop himself and realize, no, there's a reason why she's being distant. I'm not on her level yet. We're not equal, so I'm not gonna pretend it's like it was back in the old days.
Indeed. But as that's happening, Mushroom Head Kaiju is very confused as to why any of his resurrected allies managed to kill exactly nothing. Are you joking me? What happened? Anyway, I have been sitting in the bathroom too long on company time, so time to turn back into a human in a very disgusting transformation sequence.
Yeah.
Oh God!
And then the reveal that he's got Kafka's old job.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he is working in kaiju disposal. That is such an effective whammy panel to end a chapter on, because
Yeah,
we see him cracking his
walking
neck,
among the people.
and
it's got the John Carpenter's It effect.
yeah.
Anyone can be this thing. Anyone can be a kaiju. We already know Kafka
Yep.
can, and now he's not unique. So that is absolutely terrifying. But we can't dwell on that too long. We have to have the graduation ceremony coming in. And surprise, surprise, Kafka did not pass. However,
What?
the upper ranks took a liking to him.
Because he was funny, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lieutenant,
The vice captain.
or the vice captain, is the one who is particularly the one who pushes for it. It's like we see that Mina is a lot more
Serious.
open to the idea of like seeing Kafka rise to her level as they had promised each other, but like like they do a lot of legwork to heavily imply that like she's not the reason why he got through, that it was mostly the guy who didn't know him thought he was funny and saw potential in him.
Yeah, I think that's a good it's a good distinction to make, because it's not just like Kafka getting in because he was childhood friends with the the top brass.
Yeah, it literally was not Mina. It was Vice Captain Hoshina, who's like,
Yeah.
this guy's a riot. We got to have him on for morale, if nothing else.
And they make him a cadet. I really do kind of get the impression too, that because at least as far as we read for the podcast, they don't explain any further, and they probably won't. But I sort of get the impression that sort of Mina's perspective is, for a lot of other people, she wouldn't have put up with the vice captain's nonsense and been like, no, I'm vetoing this. But like, she also does know that like Kafka has more, like, because she knows him, that Kafka has that, potential that the vice captain is saying.
Kafka, now being officially accepted into the Defense Force, is emboldened to address Mina during the graduation ceremony.
Oh, I forgot about this.
This is a common problem for Kafka.
Oh my gosh. The thing is, again, Kafka is the most relatable manga protagonist in the game right now. Because that's the sort of like BS hero thing that anyone with delusions of grandeur would do. So he's just like, Mina, I'm going to stand by your side. And everyone else is like, what the hell? He just addressed what?
The man in his 30s, everybody.
Yes. Okay, so Cadet
Our
Kafka Hibino, 100 push-ups for an unauthorized outburst and addressing superior without a title, and that is all. But she is smiling about it.
She always makes a point of turning away before she smiles, which in all honesty, like, it's like as much of a trope that also is probably for the best, given that they are a military outfit. So,
and the vice captain is suddenly not laughing as he's like, oh no, the captain seems to like him instead of me. This is bad. I must keep an eye on him.
Well, he also wants to keep an eye on Kafka for another reason. They have a measuring system for the kaiju as well, which kaiju have always been a metaphor for natural disasters. So it's a Richter scale-esque thing, and it was like a 9.2. Or 9.8, yeah, when barely anything ever cracks 9, let alone gets that close to 10. So in addition to not liking Kafka's familiarity with Mina, he also he wants to know why something that powerful showed up near Kafka.
Yes, enigmas are very concerning given the circumstances in this entire context.
Absolutely. But this is about the halfway point of our reading, so we are going to go and take a quick break, and we will resume in just a few minutes. Stay tuned, everybody. And welcome back to the show, everybody. Where last we left off, our heroes had just barely scraped their way through the exam portion to become kaiju neutralization officers. Well, okay, Kafka's not an officer, he's just a cadet, but he's getting there. He's certain.
He's working on it.
He's definitely working on it. And so everyone is working on improving their skill with their anti-kaiju weapons. Reno has gotten all the way up to 18% output, which is pretty impressive.
Doubling his start.
Indeed. Unfortunately, Shinomiya is rocketing up to 55%. She has already broken the halfway point in Pawada.
And he gets the biggest percentage of improvement, and he's very proud of this.
As he should be.
He got a whole ass 1% and screams to the heavens, "Oh, hell yeah!"
I'm just saying it's the little improvements, and only in your older age do you learn to appreciate that.
Exactly.
It's the little things in life.
Gains.
Always got to respect those gains. Nobody else seems to agree with Kafka's assessment, though.
Yeah, they're just being rude about it.
Well,
At least Reno seems proud of him. He's happy about it.
yeah.
And Kafka really wants his Daughteru to congratulate him on his improvement, and she's not having it.
To respect him, yeah. Come on, give me props.
No.
I love how silly the interludes are between the major events.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to see the characters just kind of mess around.
Exactly. They're screwing around, having a good time, becoming stronger. You know, the thing that shonen protags do.
I sort of love that we get like basically a hot tub scene with the boys, and like it's such like a girl trope of like, you know, characters like gossiping and whatnot, but they all end up getting heat stroke because they're in the hot bath too long.
They're all secretly Mina fanboys. Is sort of the most adorable thing.
I do not blame them.
No, I agree. She has a tiger. Did we mention she has a tiger? Because she has a tiger.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned she has a tiger. It's so cool. Why does she have a tiger?
I was so because it takes a while for it to come up again, and like because it's like her first appearance. When she first saves Kafka and Reno in the first chapter, it's like, wait, what's that tiger doing there? And it's like 20 chapters before you see it again. You're like, what?
Did I hallucinate that? You know you're really behind your shonen rival when they have a tiger and you don't.
Yep.
So that's how you win in life. I know now what I need to do. Tiger King was an instructional manual.
Oh no! Wait a minute.
Hold on.
I think you're taking the wrong lesson. We do get a bit more of a serious interstitial scene, though. The vice captain, Kafka, is working very, very hard to try to catch up with everybody because he recognizes he's very far behind. The vice captain has a really good piece of advice. He mentions that if you overwork yourself, you will fall even further behind and never be able to catch up. So pace yourself. And also, you are not taking my spot. The gauntlet has thus been thrown. Because he recognizes very clearly what I mean. Not to say nothing of Kafka, you know, proclaiming it in the middle of the graduation ceremony, but like, you know, like it's pretty obvious that that's what he's, you know, setting out to do, you know, from his actions, not just his words.
Kafka is not one to be easily intimidated in that regard. Well, he is one to be easily intimidated, but not one that gives up after being intimidated.
He's easily intimidated, but he is very good at getting past that.
Showing true bravery, a very relatable and understandable protag.
Who wouldn't be scared doing you? There has to be something wrong with you if you go out to fight giant monsters and you're not at least a little bit scared. Like, let's be honest.
Yes, and there are many things wrong with
a lot of these people.
Basically, everyone on the left-hand side of the battle bus in the panel where they're like, "It's kaiju slaying time."
All right, Hoshino, where are we dropping?
Drop tilted towers, get the golden scar, and kill some kaiju with it.
I do love this little throwaway line on the next page where they flash back to sort of explaining to Kikoru what the whole deal is, and she's like, "You ate and became a kaiju," and she's like, "Poor people will eat anything."
I didn't mean to. It forced itself into my mouth. Oh,
These three seem like they have one brain cell to share among them.
Really do be like that.
Whoever wrestles it away with greatest force is the one who is allowed to have intelligent addition to the conversation.
It's usually Reno in that case, but it's even with that said, it's still a pretty even split.
Mm-hmm.
They all have their moments.
We do have a pretty great moment of Kikoru does threaten him as, if you're another kaiju out to harm humanity, I will kill you. And just big smile on his face. He's like, yeah, sure. I'd expect nothing less.
I do love it when characters have that attitude, recognizing that like this amazing power, my might go bad. I would like to hope that the people around me would put me down if it came to that, because I don't want to make things worse.
Yep.
I appreciate that in characters.
We get a kaiju that gave me the heebie-jeebies because it's a giant mushroom colony.
Wonder if Mario touches that one. I wonder how big he'll get.
I was just thinking, just the emphasis on mushrooms, which is already not overly gross, but kind of gross conceptually, because as we'll discuss,
Yeah.
colonies and how
Fungi and
irritating it is when they just randomly seem to pop up and how they just seem to keep coming back.
And it's like there's sort of a inherent uncleanliness to fungus because, like, mushrooms can be fairly benign, but it's like you think of
They
mold
eat
and you
decaying
think
things, yeah.
Yeah, you think of mold and you think of just befoulment. So seeing a giant mold monster advancing upon the city, the heavy hand of symbolism. Our neutralization team is set up to, we'll have the big boss characters go and fight the other big boss character. The rest of you will kill the little ones, because this one is pooping out little mini mush kaijus that are running around with spore colonies, and basically it's going to be a whole infestation if we can't contain this.
Well, actually, that's the fun bit, because it's actually Kafka who is able to figure out that the smaller ones also can spawn even more.
Yeah, look at that on-the-job experience.
Mm-hmm.
They had just been shooting the smaller ones and leaving them, where they lie. Kafka takes the time to dissect the
Yoju that they kill, the smaller one.
And he's able to recognize that all of them also have the potential to just keep making more, and they'll overrun the city if they're just left to lie there.
Mm-hmm. We do have a pretty great moment of Kafka's all amped up and ready for the fight. Combat power unleashed! Next panel, pow! He's battered away by a charging monster.
He has a certain set of strengths at this point.
Yeah.
We do also get to see the shoes he's trying to rise to meet.
Oh, this is a great scene.
Oh, it's so good.
Because they're doing so much to have Shinomiya be the goal to aspire towards, and then here's the rail cannon from Mina on a rooftop.
Oh my god!
Just that spread. It's so hype.
It's so cool. She's got a giant freaking cannon. She fires, and the multi-story mushroom monster gets a city block-sized hole punched in its head. Oh god, it's so freaking cool.
And I love that detail of just from the knockback, the ground is cracking behind Mina just from the sheer force of the power she's packing. And then just the reactions from everybody,
This is actually a really great character moment for Mina as well, because through everything we've seen, it's she recognized Kafka but wasn't exactly impressed by him, or she just found him amusing, or it didn't really seem like she was thinking about him all that much. But
but in an earlier flashback, she very vividly remembers Kafka. And it's kind of like both of them remember each other very clearly. They're childhood friends, but it's kind of a shared almost disappointment. They were supposed to be doing this together.
Yeah,
different reasons that didn't pan out.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because it's it seems like she had moved on. She's disappointed that he didn't come stand beside her like he had promised, but she had to keep going either way, and so she became this super powerful captain. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here he is, ready to come and make good on that decades-old promise. And now she's like, well, okay, I guess I better show him exactly how far he has to climb. So she activates her full power and just starts rapid firing this rail cannon into this thing.
Yeah, it's almost like I could see both of these characters at a family barbecue. They haven't seen each other in years, but of course she's chalked up as the person who graduated from some prestigious university, is part of a Fortune 500 company, and it's just Yeah, I made it. So, yeah.
She has to flex just to let him know. I love Mission Control is like it's completely annihilated. Its vitals are wiped out. Firing 4, boom. It's really dead now, man. But firing 5, boom. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, there is this strong sense that, like, a big part of Mina's cold attitude is that she's sad that her friend isn't there beside her. Like, you know, they had promised each other. The promise wasn't forgotten, because, like, she does have a bit of it, like not in the same way that Shinomiya does, but like she has like that Ice Queen like character archetype, but like it seems more like melancholic in that like she wanted it to be fun, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
and the reason is that Kafka wasn't there.
I think it's definitely like disappointment is a better interpretation than just like, oh, okay, you know, she's just being mean. You know, I think it's a little more complicated than that, which I have seen some people kind of like, at least at this point in the story, kind of questionable about Mina's character. But like, I do think there is something there.
It's got a bit of a tough love vibe to it, because it's like, here's where I'm at now. You said you would stand beside me. Here's how far you have to climb. Are you
that's
still
the reality
to do
of it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sort of reinforces the idea that like Kafka didn't get into the cadet program entirely off of Mina
nepotism.
Yeah, nepotism him in that, like, she expects him to not just stand beside her because she wants him there, but to actually earn that spot. For as little as we see of her, it makes her quite endearing.
Going pretty well for the elimination squad. After the big one is destroyed and they're cleaning up the droves of little ones, until, you know, Kafka says, hey, the little ones have reproductive organs. This is going to be an entire thing if we don't do something about it. All right, let's clean it up. Let's have everyone split up and start cleaning up the area. And Reno and I forget his name, but I keep wanting to call him Bakugo because he's got blonde hair and pointy teeth.
I love that trope.
Yeah, he does have the pointy teeth. Oh god.
We get a brief scene, Kafka also talking to the vice captain and being like, hey, are you that strong? Not even close.
Oh, this is very matter of fact.
But he does display that while Mina has more raw power than he does, he is better in close combat. His specialty is the blade.
Yeah, Iharu Furuhashi. He's the blonde shark tooth guy.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad for getting his name. I do like him.
Yeah, he's very relevant to the manga's current events. So I was like, oh god, how do I forget his name already?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think sort of the big thing is that like he was one of the, like, you know, protagonist of another manga squad up until this last section here, when he and Reno stumble across the kaiju who can shapeshift like Kafka can. They get mollywopped pretty good.
No. Yeah, I have a bit of a rough go of it.
Because Mushroom Head, in his human disguise, is examining one of the defeated Yoju. And they're like, hey, dude, you really shouldn't be here. This is a restricted area. And he's in a cleanup outfit. So he's like, you're here way too early. We have to finish killing everything. He stands up, wide-eyed stare, turns around, points at Iharu, and then his finger bulges and kaboom, shot in the shoulder, just like Shinomiya.
Yeah, he had been mumbling to himself, man, they even thought to destroy the reproductive organs in the small ones. I made these purposely weird just so that they could get in a little bit of extra destruction. Hey, do you two know why that someone knew to destroy the reproductive organs? Never mind, finger gun.
Yeah.
Pulls a Frieza.
He really does. It's just the point in death. Oh, I miss this heart. My accuracy takes a hit in this form.
Yeah.
Delightful.
He's so gross.
Wow,
He's
it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. I'd hate to leave empty-handed. I should at least take back an officer as a living sample, don't you think?
Yeah, even having only just seen him in action for a little bit, yeah, this villain is just like super terrifying. Because they're all basically like kind of helpless against him.
Yeah, he's very actively toying with them, but I love the power dynamic that he has relative to all the other characters, because one of the things he starts recognizing quickly is, oh, wait a minute, you can actually see my shots, can't you?
Yep, yep. There's like this back and forth of him, like, okay, figuring out, like, all right, you know.
They think they see the depths of him, and he's like, oh, you guys are actually legitimately a threat. I guess I'm taking this seriously now.
Yep.
Because Shinomiya figured out the tell while she was getting her ass beat.
Oh,
during
yeah,
the...
that's right.
And she revealed that secret to Reno, who uses it to dodge the bullets of the finger blast of the death beam. But
super cool sequence.
It so is. It's him dodging bullets, returning fire, while Iharu is running, trying to get backup.
It's that same dynamic of, they do the smart thing of trying to get word out to get other people there, but they're also not going to just abandon the other person, Very similar to the first kaiju encounter we saw properly in the story.
Once again, Reno about to get absolutely unmade and getting saved by a tackle from off screen. As Mushroom Head grows like extra arms to do a rapid fire blast, and Iharu tackles him off to the side.
Yeah, these two are good at saving each other.
Yeah,
it feels really desperate.
It does. It feels so desperate, but it's amazing how quickly, this dynamic of them wanting to save each other becomes believable. The camaraderie is there right away.
Yeah, and
a lot of what it does is it presents the idea that they've used up all their tricks, and then the other one will have something even more desperate.
I just really like Iharu's philosophy on this. Is he's wanting to become stronger and stronger. He's the one who's always like comparing power levels with the rest of the squad, and he didn't really think that much of Reno because Reno's power level was lower than his. Except Reno knows how to apply the power better, and he's like, oh, even if he hasn't passed me numerically, he's already surpassed me like it was nothing.
Yeah. Iharu's the Shonen Jump reader.
Yeah. He really is. He's out here just doing power scaling calculations.
And alternatively, this is another really good
episode on that coming up.
But yeah, like this is also alternatively another example of he's the protagonist of another series, and the fact that all of these characters can share the spotlight as much as they do is really cool. Like every time they come up with something clever, Double Mushroom Boy has another trick up his sleeve. They do a good job of really establishing that he is actually taking the fight seriously. They don't do the thing of the villain always has yet another depth of power. He's taking the fight seriously, but he's just so much stronger that it looks easy for him.
Yeah, my favorite of that is Reno activates his full power and is unleashing his most powerful shots. And he's like, oh, did I get him? No, he grabbed up the corpses of all the other defeated kaiju and created a shield wall with it.
Just the back and forth between strategies in this. This fight's not really that long, but there's a lot going on in it just from the moment.
It's basically just it's 1.5 chapters, and yet it's dynamically shifting so much. It's incredibly entertaining.
Yeah, very, very efficient, very quick and easy to read. It's one of the things I like most about Kaiju number 8, honestly.
Yeah.
They're actually out of options this time.
As the kaiju is standing there just using weak shots to basically torture them to death like the sadistic monster he is.
Yep.
Iharu goes as far as to beg whoever will listen, please just save my friend. And we get yet another really great example of the unbelievably amazing character design. Kafka stands up behind Double Mushroom Boy.
You can die now. The only one dying here is you, dirtbag.
Yep. Oh, that's a great page turn.
It's so good. Brandon, I gotta ask. Kafka's like his mode of speech. I don't know how to describe it. It feels very much like your dad trying to sound cool after watching a whole bunch of canon action flicks.
Yeah.
I think that is an energy that, like, honestly, I think that's just down to the translator, David Evelyn, who he just, if you talk to him for like 5 seconds, he just exudes that kind of energy.
Gotcha.
So I think there is a lot of David Evelyn in Kafka, and
The good creative liberty that was taken. Yeah.
I'm used to shonen protags calling the enemy like bastard or whatever, but I'm not used to I'm not used to dirtbag.
Doing the edgy teenage thing instead of this. But like, you know, the other nice thing is like there's no Joker punchline here. Well, there's a punch, but not a punchline. Kafka punches his head off, and it's really cool.
Yep.
And this is actually where I get to make my weird comparison, because it's this sequence where Kafka is fighting the double mushroom boy, where I got really a feel of another series, and nobody is going to know this reference. I get strong Garo energy.
Oh, I know Garo.
Not the character from One Punch Man. Oh, but do you know the Tokusatsu?
Yeah, the
series?
Tokusatsu. Yeah, Garo.
I get such strong Garo energy from this, because when Kafka goes kaiju mode, he's a Makai Knight. I'm not worried anymore if the good guys will win the day. I'm concerned whether or not Kafka will arrive in time to keep everyone alive. And like that's where the tension of the story comes from. And it lets Kafka just be so cool. It's like Garo is Rule of Cool, the series, and Kafka, despite how comedic he often is, when he gets serious and it's just a fight and there's no jokes to be had, he has that same day's already saved, don't even have to worry about it.
And that's sort of they're able to make it still interesting and how things will shake out, but like at this point in the story, and even I'm trying to see, like, I want to check because it's, y'all read up to chapter 23, right?
Right.
Kafka himself, like, his abilities are so, like, him being overpowered doesn't, like, it's like the series is still able to have tension despite the fact that he is overpowered, because you know, as the reader, that like he is going to, you know, succeed, you know, and it's going to be a very satisfying beatdown. But like, yeah, kind of like, are the characters going to be able to figure out how to survive until he gets there? Is often where the point of tension lies, or there's some other kind of, like, there's an extra little twist put onto the situation where he can't just like punch it and be done with it.
It's Garo is the series that I feel does that sort of thing best. Like that had always been sort of my gold standard of what I refer to as the overqualified protagonist, where when that sort of thing is done well, I absolutely adore it, because you get some of the most like badass power fantasy stuff like possible, but also when it's done well, you still manage to maintain the tension.
A lot of that hinges on the secondary characters. Yeah.
The really interesting thing that makes Kaiju number 8 pretty darn unique is that I think the fact that like there are so many, like, you know, insert protagonist here characters is sort of the reason why it works. Whereas what Garo will generally do is it will introduce a character in the first act and a half of the episode. You endear yourself to that character, and they're a one-off character, so they can very easily die. Whereas these characters, you're kind of waiting for them to protagonist it up and win as the underdog, which is also a thing that could happen. And so even though there's not as, like, there's still tension of whether or not they might die, but there's not as much tension because they're main characters. You still like want to see and experience their own personal growth independent of Kafka. So that keeps the tension in their scenes high as well.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
We get one of my favorite things in any of these incredibly overpowered protag stories, which is, the villain of equal power has arrived. Now they will clash with all of their might. And Mushroom Head looks at him like, so you're Kaiju number 8. Well, I guess I'll just have to kill you and take your corpse for myself. You'll make a really good minion. So let me hit you with my biggest move. After he shoots Kafka, and Kafka barely flinches. Like, he bleeds a little bit, but he's like, whatever. You shot me.
The bit where he like screams he screams and just like blocks the attack. I think it's so like, I think Goku does that when he it's either when he like arrives like to fight Nappa and Vegeta, or when he just gets to Namek. I don't remember which one it is, but he does Goku does a very similar attack.
Yeah, I think it's the one with
where
Nappa.
he just like screams and absorbs the attack, and it's like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's just complete oversight.
I love it, because for that whole panel, Kafka's just standing there, arms folded, going "Gah!"
Yep, and then just like teleports in front of him, like just yeah.
How did you? Oh no, he's here.
The Doom music starts playing.
Why do I hear boss music? That's not coming from me. I just love that where he's like, the kaiju's like, he's like, okay, gotta escape, like I gotta make up a wall, and then Kafka rips through it, and he's just like, what is he?
he's just, I can't even get away. This is insane. I need to retreat, but I can't find an opening.
It's so satisfying.
Kafka is not able to finish him off despite exposing his core before
backup finally arrives.
Unfortunately, it's backup that also wants to kill him.
Yeah, it was like, oops, it's a little bad timing, guys.
Seriously.
Kafka has to try to escape. Unfortunately, the vice captain intercepts him on his way out before he can transform back to himself.
Okay. This is the thing I was going to reference because I wasn't sure if y'all had read up to this point or not, but it's what I mean when it's like there's an interesting like kind of twist put on the fight, because on this one where he's like fighting Hoshina, it's like, I'm going to kill him if I don't keep my power in check.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a really fun dynamic for a fight where Kafka's like, he's basically like holding back, like, I need to make sure I don't die, but if I hit him too hard, he's going to die.
Yeah,
this kind of fight is one of my favorites, where it's the misunderstanding fight, or it's basically anything that can contrive two allies to fight each other, and one of them is not holding back and the other has to.
Yep.
It's free drama.
Yeah, free drama.
Yeah, because I mean, like, the other thing that's really nice is that they make a point of the vice captain is
Virgil from Devil May Cry 5.
Show me your motivation.
When we say Kafka's holding back, like, he is holding back to not just one shot him, but at the same time, he's also barely keeping himself alive and still hitting way harder than he thought he would ever be able to when fighting a person, because 92%.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's cool to see this build up of like back a few chapters ago when he was like, I can't do the whole like railgun thing like Mina can, but he's like, I'm good at small threats, and he's just completely without even looking just slices the kaiju behind him. And then just that sort of like build up to what his full capabilities are. Just like, crap, this guy is actually super serious.
I'm good at fighting smaller threats, aka humanoid-sized kaiju, aka you. Yeah.
Yes.
He knows what he likes. Appreciate a guy with specificity.
And we get the fight between them with Kafka getting nicked up, death by 1,000 cuts style.
Oh yeah.
This might be a weird thing to focus on, but after the pissing out his pecs scene, anytime Kafka takes a wound to his pecs, I'm like, is that like
unsanitary?
That's unsanitary. Is that like getting hit in the dick?
No.
Who knows? Where is it?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Agreed. But yeah, I mean, there is also the element of it's sort of the funny thing where it's like you don't even really think about it until like this point in this fight, but like Kafka points out like, oh, he's fishing for where my kaiju core is, and it's like, wow, Kafka's really started to understand how his kaiju body works because he's been cleaning them up for years. That makes sense. Like, it doesn't need to tell you that because,
Yeah, and a lot of time has passed too between
Because they had to. There was the time to get to the test to get on the Force. Then there was the training that they did, and now there's this after they've done a sufficient amount of training, they're on like they're like the support of a real mission. So like a decent amount of time has passed.
Yep.
I just love that the vice captain's style is called sword slay technique. It's like, how edgy
Yes.
can you be, man?
He makes it look cool.
With his secret technique, arm slicer.
Yes. I do love the page where Hoshina is like, he's like slicing through the sound effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something I have the print release here, which doesn't come out till next month. So I'm sitting here like very satisfied with the way I was able to recreate that. But
Nice.
It's so cool.
please look forward to it.
Oh, absolutely. I will have to pick that up myself just to see the glory of it.
But yeah, Kafka is able to create a mouth on his side to catch Vice Captain Hoshina's sword and punch it at the where the blade meets the hilt to snap it, and that's how he's able to escape.
In order to get out without murdering his superior officer.
What an awkward situation to be put in.
Yep.
Regular workplace problems.
Yeah, as one does.
And we get another one of those beautiful color panels as report Kaiju number 8 has escaped. The sun is rising on the damaged
The Force
city.
is slipping.
Yeah, they let this bastard get away twice.
Yeah, like let another one get away.
Absolute mess. I mean, they also got the big mushroom man though, so
So silver linings.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, we get a couple of chapters of wrap up. We get Kaiju number 9,
as he is now known.
needs a new disguise. So we learn he eats people. Shockingly, this is one of the least awful things about him somehow.
I don't know
Yeah,
how this guy has spent so much time not being called out by anyone. He's a weird looking dude.
Look, he just goes full lunar exalt. He finds someone with like no family or friends, eats them, takes their face, and then keeps it until he gets found out and moves on. Kills anybody who figures it out. God, this is an exalted storyline, isn't it? Kaiju Elimination Squad is the Wild Hunt.
Every time.
Hey, Brandon, have you ever played Exalted?
I've not.
You should. It's really fun, but we'll do that. We'll pitch that later.
Kafka is able to, in his human form, rejoin with everybody. We get another cute father-daughter moment. Is the metaphor loud enough yet? I love it when stories do this, by the way.
Kafka is data.
Well, I love the bit where it's like a 32-year-old being lectured by a teenager. She's just like, you need to worry about yourself.
And again, that sort of element of everyone has something to learn from everybody else, because he really does. He could have either died or worse, killed his superior officer. That's not good.
Yep. I love how Shinomiya has this look of relief on her face, and he's like, sorry for making you worry. Immediately goes back to, I didn't care about your...
Yeah.
No.
Big fat tsundere.
It's great.
No, demonstrating it either. Just come right out and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Where we end off. Everyone survived the first mission, so
Woo!
that's pretty good.
There.
It was supposed to be the kind of mission that they should survive on, but then something unexpected happened, but everybody still managed to come out of it with no permanent damage. So they're having a celebration party where a surprise announcement is made. Kafka is getting promoted. He's a proper officer now.
Yeah.
Indeed, he is.
And surprise, surprise, someone flaunts their wealth. They put on quite the spread, and it is super apparent.
Yeah,
The divide.
that A6 Japanese grade beef that does not exist.
The stuff's so good, it's literally not real.
I feel like it's the food equivalent of saying that you have like bajillion dollars.
Basically.
P.S. I'm rich.
Yeah.
That grade of beef exists? Quote, little aside, it does not.
The scene of the party is also pretty fun too, because basically everybody starts fighting almost immediately.
Uh-huh.
Like, no, I was the coolest.
I love it because Reno is so freaked out by everyone breaking down into squabbling, but then
Oh no, they're drunk.
the vice captain's like, no, look a little closer. It's just everyone is so fired up on their youthful desire for respect, and also Kafka.
Kafka did start off trying to be the diplomat and everything, but then immediately got drawn into the nonsense.
Yep.
Would I kill you to show some respect for your elders? See me in arm wrestling.
Yeah.
That was another brief joke where Kafka is absolutely cut only in his arms because he's still got a little bit of the beer gut left that he's working off. The last brief scenes that we get is we get a little scene between Kafka and Mina, and it's very similar to like it's just the two of them speaking face to face, but otherwise it really just rehashes the sentiment from the graduation.
But before we move on, there's a little like chapter interstitial. It's just like a funny little gag in the volume where there's a picture of Kikoru just drinking juice because she's a minor, and she's just like, I'd like to try alcohol one time.
I missed that. She's like, I can't have booze.
The scene with Mina is very similar right down to Kafka once again not addressing his superior officer by rank and title and having to do push-ups.
50 push-ups. Ah, God damn it, I did it again.
Yeah, it's gonna get... He'll get there eventually.
He's working on it. And like, again, it's one of those situations where it's Mina is smiling during all of this, but you know, she kind of has to maintain military discipline because that is literally their job.
I'm just saying, in a different universe, they're totally like friends on social media. So it does become kind of awkward of like, this is someone I talk to like maybe a few times a year.
Indeed. We end on a scene with Kafka heading to bed and noticing the lights on in the training room, so he goes to shut it off and sees Vice Captain Hoshina doing some image training.
I love how explicit that is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's not just any image training. He's recreating his battle with Kaiju No. 8. And Kafka's having basically PTSD flashbacks as he's remembering being subject to all those moves.
How close they all were to killing him, yeah.
It's like, oh.
That's bad.
I'm practicing against Kaiju No. 8, so the next time I run into it, I'll slice that sucker up in one go. Kafka's freaking out.
I love mentally pissing himself to bring back that gag from the second chapter.
Yeah.
It's popping out of his pecs, yeah.
And
you're awfully scared of training blades.
Our final shot to lead us into the next arc.
Dragons!
We get a flight of dragons just heading on in. This can't go badly. Mina is away on headquarters duty.
It'll be fine, I'm sure.
It doesn't look fine. I'm gonna level with you there, Chief. It doesn't look fine. Oh my gosh. But that actually does bring us to the end of our reading. So, as is the classic with any shonen that we read, the discussion becomes favorite character and favorite fight. Brandon, as our honored guest, favorite character and favorite fight.
Oh gosh. I think I'm gonna cheat a little bit because this is based on the series as a whole, not just these first 23 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite character is Reno.
All right.
And he has a great showing here. But I think in the moment while I was working on this week to week, I don't know if I wasn't sure where this character was going to go and like sort of how much his how much of an arc he would have and how relevant that would be to sort of like the core story. But knowing now that he's kind of like a hugely important character, he's definitely my favorite. But my favorite fight is definitely Kafka versus Hoshina, and working on it for the volume was a huge nightmare. So looking at it in print, I'm like, oh god, it looks so good, but it took so much time.
Seeing the final version makes it all worth it.
Oh yeah. I'm glad it'll be out there soon.
Well, I have no doubt something that intricate had to be insane. For me, favorite character, God, it's honestly a toss-up between Kafka and Shinomiya. It's like I said, I hate Shinomiya, but also she's so entertaining. She's
a very entertaining character.
Yeah, I'm just going to say Shinomiya is my favorite. I hate her. She is a hateable character by design, but she...
Take the bait. Take it.
She gets a lot of great development. I think the story shaves off her rough edges a bit,
and that's it too. Even just in what we've read, she has already become more endearing while keeping the core of her character. So I can see more of how she can become a likable character instead of a hateable one, and I trust the writing will be able to do that.
Yeah. I think. It's a very hateable character archetype, but this version of it is really she's really fun.
Yeah,
and I think the author understands that it would be grating if he dragged it out for too long.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the case where there are parts you're supposed to hate the character for, and those are the only parts where she actually is hateable. Which is the sign of a well written that character archetype.
Yep. But as for favorite fight, I gotta say it's Kaiju number 8 and Kaiju number 9 going head to head. Kafka versus Mushroom Man.
So satisfying.
It's so satisfying, especially after the equally spectacular fight of Reno and Iharu versus Kaiju number 9.
Yeah, you see that struggle, and then just the relief.
The raw catharsis of having Dad show up and beat up the bad guy. It's so good.
Well, Dad show up, say you did a good job, and then beat up the bad guy after she had her daddy issues flashback.
Yep.
Oh man, it's so satisfying. Jay, favorite character, favorite fight.
So my favorite character, I'd have to give it to Kafka. And favorite fight, as previously mentioned, Kafka versus Hosina.
Nothing more need be said. And Jacob,
for so many reasons, Reno, Kafka, and Shinomiya are easily the tops in my mind. But honestly, I think I kind of have to give it to Kafka. Because in a lot of ways, I feel like a lot of the subtlety, nuance, and fun of the other characters kind of comes out through him.
Oh, yeah.
Not to say that the series could really lose anybody. I think that everybody is kind of very necessary for the structure of everyone else's character arcs. But Kafka really does feel like a keystone, like a linchpin that really brings the narrative together. And you could even take away his kaiju powers, and I think he'd be the same way. Yeah, for the big damn hero, really cool moments, he has them. That's the narrative reason why that's a thing, and that is one of my favorite things about the whole story. But you could take that away, and it would still be a really solid character story for everybody involved. And I think Kafka is the key to that. As for favorite fight, season 1 theme song of Garo started playing when Kafka rolled up behind Kaiju number 9. I kind of have to give it to that one because that was the part where I realized why I was loving it so much.
Hell yeah.
And that's also why when Kaiju number 8 gets its anime adaptation, they got to get Jam Project, because they made fire OPs for Garo and EDs for Garo, and I'm sure they'll make fire OPs and EDs for Kaiju number 8.
Oh yeah,
indeed. So our next question is, would you continue reading? Brandon, I don't think you have much of a choice in the matter.
I would like to announce that I quit.
Oh
no!
As of now, I am relinquishing my duties as letterer for Kaiju number 8. No, just kidding. I'm here whether I like it or not.
As for us who aren't contractually or economically obligated to do so, I absolutely would continue reading. This manga is a blast. It is a super breezy, entertaining read, and I just love seeing monsters beat the hell out of each other. It's good. It's good fun.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's simple, straightforward. I love it. I love the energy. I love the comedic relief. Definitely. I'm just making a lot of like connections to other series that I thoroughly enjoy. So
Mhm.
all around good reading.
One of the big things for me, as I've mentioned, I'm not the strongest reader, and it's so, as Sam mentioned, breezy. Like you can just go through it so quickly. It was honestly really painful for me to stop at our stopping point. I might actually continue reading once we're done recording this episode, because
It's great to hear.
it's so fun to, the process of going through, and just what a great series.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, thank you once again, everybody, for listening to the Over Manga Cast. And Brandon, thank you so much for joining us. It was a delight to have you. The floor is yours. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah. As I noted, I kind of feel like I've neglected to mention that like I'm the English letterer for Kaiju number 8 and like 1.5 billion other manga. But most people listening probably don't know what that means. So I'm basically the guy who works with like the translator and the editor. I pick out the fonts. I'm copying and pasting the translation into the art, and making sure that all the text is properly formatted and centered and all that fun stuff. And I also handle like adapting sound effects, which can mean different things depending on the publisher. So that could be like subtitling them or replacing them outright. And it can take a surprising amount of like drawing skill, since we're, oftentimes like there'll be like a sign or from doing sound effects that are like I have to erase it and, make it look seamless. So there is actually quite a lot of drawing in this line of work.
Yeah, especially with something like Kaiju number 8 that like incorporates its sound effects into the actual sequential art.
Yeah. Action manga tend to be a special kind of hell. Yes. Like doing this in Dragon Ball kind of back to back is just like, oh.
Yeah, Dragon Ball does it too.
Yeah. I'm kind of like, I shouldn't. I think 2 is my limit, and I'm currently very well over 2 right now. So, but they're also really rewarding and really satisfying. So that's why I haven't gone crazy yet.
Excellent.
But
excellent.
yeah, as for where you can find me, I'm on Twitter at Brandon Bovia, just by name, and I try to provide interesting insights into the stuff I'm working on. I can't always do that. I can't always find things that are interesting to talk about, but I try. And I also I co-host a One Piece read-through podcast called One Piece at a Time with my co-host Derek Bickner from Good Vibes Gaming. And you can find that on his personal YouTube channel, Bit Nerd Games, and just on podcast services and RSS feeds and all that fun stuff.
All right. And that's basically how you can find us as well. Follow us on all your social medias, where we are at Over Manga Cast, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also like, comment, and subscribe to Over Manga Cast on YouTube, where the episodes will go up 2 weeks after they go up basically everywhere else. It's a good place to comment on an individual episode and join in the discussion.
We also have overmangacast.com, where you can also leave messages on individual episodes. You can send to Twitter any of your recommendations for other series that you want us to check out.
And of course, we always appreciate any reviews on your podcatcher of choice. And join us next week, where we are continuing we're continuing to have some guests on, though I won't be here for this one. We are going to be reading Haikyuu chapters 1 through 16. We will be joined by special guest Kendra, so make sure to tune in next Thursday for that. With that, good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Good to have you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah, that was fun.